Visit Target Sports USA for all your ammo needs. As always, free shipping on bulk ammunition purchases. Hard to find ammo and big savings on all ammo at Target Sports USA. Save big on 9mm Luger, 45 ACP, 380 ACP, 38 special bulk ammo, 5.56mm, 308 Winchester, 223 Remington, 7.62 x 39mm bulk. Free shipping included. Click link below and visit Target Sports USA right now.
All right, guys, so let's break down what's happening right now. Real time, in your face, hard-hitting, the real issues that nobody's talking about. Now, I made a very controversial video yesterday talking about World War III. World War III has begun. Now, I've made a series of these controversial videos, and I want to elaborate on it because we've had numerous reports from the alternative media that has indicated that we have a troop deployment into Libya, which equals a ground invasion. Now remember, our president, Nobel Peace Prizing winning President Obama, told us that this was not a war. He told us that we'd be in Libya for days, not weeks. He called it a kinetic action, not a war. A peace movement to democratize the Middle East and Northern Africa by dropping bombs, by killing people. This is the country that we live here in the United States. So there's been numerous reports, especially out of Fort Hood in Texas, where we have allegedly anywhere from 30,000 or more ground troops going in to invade Libya. And we've got more support forces coming in as well. So there's been all kinds of media reports, all kinds of independent reports from people that actually work on the base. Alex Jones actually did a piece on it. I'll post a link if you're interested in reading about it. Take a look. So why would we be, at this given point in time, why would we be going to war? Why would the United States be forcing us down this path of self-destruction? Now, the answer to that question is very, very easy, folks. Now, the reason is you've got to follow the money. Always follow the money because it's the reason for every single war that has ever been fought in history. Now, let's take a look at what's going on right now. What's happening in the world? What's happening globally? Well, not only do we have a global power shift occurring, we have the likes of China and India, producing GDP outputs in the ballpark of 8 to 10%, versus here in the United States, which has been revised lower below 3%. And we have dominoes falling in Europe. We have dominoes falling here in the United States. We have countries such as Greece in full-blown riot mode for the second time. The second major riot, in the past year, where the people are waking up to these gross austerity measures. They're waking up to the cronyism, this crony capitalism, the fact that their politicians are selling them, for spare change, and people are waking up for bailouts. And you see, this is the problem, guys, because when our federal government forced these bank bailouts on the backs of the people in 2008, that was the point of no return. Because once you establish that precedent, once you establish the precedent that we're going to bail you out, that means that we're going to be living in a bailout culture, in a bailout society, in a bailout global economy indefinitely, unless there's some dramatic revolution that takes place, which is what is needed. Okay, which is what we're also seeing all across the globe. We saw this in Egypt with Hosni Mubarak. Okay, we've seen this in Greece. They're still rioting, throwing Molotov cocktails. And, I read today that Germany, Angela Merkel, kind of sidestepped, changed her opinion of the bailout of Greece because, remember, Germany is one of the most solvent, independent countries in the European Union. So, the German people aren't happy to bail out Greece for a second time with their tax dollars. It's really unfair. And so as, the dominoes continue to fall and there's this unraveling and, this dissolving of the European Union, here we are talking about bailout round number 2. And that's my point. These bailouts never end. There are continuous bailout measures, just like we have here in the United States. Quantitative easing 1, quantitative easing 2, and what I believe to be covert quantitative easing 3. Remember, I reported on this a few weeks ago. Our federal government, even when QE2 is over, is spending an estimated $15 to $20 billion a month purchasing mortgage-backed securities. That is quantitative easing, folks. And you have to look again at the money. What's happening with the money? Follow the money. That will answer our question regarding World War III, where you have a complete systemic collapse, a complete breakdown in the global economy that has been met with bailouts. We have zero recovery in housing. Okay, we talked about these numbers way ahead of the curve, way ahead of the CNBC and the Bloombergs of the world, where we are in a depressionary trough in real estate right now that is worse than what we experienced in the 1930s. In the 1930s, we experienced a 31% peak-to-trough decline. That's where it ended. That's where it stopped. Now, we are experiencing a 33% peak-to-trough decline and growing. As I've said numerous times before, a gunshot wound, bleeding. The United States has a tourniquet around it of QE with no end in sight. It's not getting better. So we have Main Street suffering. We have the real economy continuing to suffer with jobs, with housing, with just general prospects. There was a misery index that came out today, said it was the worst numbers that we'd seen in 28 years, but they've only been reporting the numbers since the 1970s when we had, that huge inflation spell. I mean, if they've been tracking the numbers in the 1930s, I would argue that it's worse now, just like what we're seeing in real estate. So as we continue to follow the money, you'll realize, take a look at China, for instance. Look at how they're dumping U.S. Treasury debt right now. Look at how fund managers such as Bill Gross are short U.S. Treasury debt because the outlook is that bad. Remember, Bill Gross said, worse than Greece, worse than what we're seeing on TV right now, or I guess YouTube, because they're really not showing this on the mainstream media. Riots and Molotov cocktails in Greece were worse in the United States. Okay, the IMF came out today, said that we're in a full-blown crisis. Of course, they're always behind the curve, but they're talking about a full-blown crisis. They compared Greece and the United States as, two independent countries, sovereign countries that have huge fiscal problems, and that the longer we wait, the worse it's going to get. So what's been happening, guys? Again, follow the money, follow the wealth, follow the paper trail. Okay, what's happening? Well, through QE, our federal government has been buying all the paper. We've been buying all these mortgage-backed securities. We've been buying all U.S. Treasury debt. Numbers, estimates are anywhere from 70 to 80% of all new issuance of our debt. We're buying our own widgets. We're buying our own product because there's no demand. Because countries such as Japan and China are dumping in droves. So China's dumping debt. We know the United States can never put it back or pay it back. And what's the end game, guys? We've shot every last bullet. We've shot that last bullet out of the gun. It was QE too. How many more bailouts can we have? And so that is why it's a natural progression to war. And it's why they've placed Obama, the second puppet. There was all these liberals, complaining about Bush, and his illegal war in Iraq. And the reason why I call it illegal, although Bush actually got congressional approval, through the War Powers Resolution, which Obama, our current president, has completely ignored, which is treasonous, which is against the Constitution of the United States, which means if we are still intervening in Libya by Monday, then he's up for impeachment. Okay, that's just reality. If you believe in law, if you believe in the Constitution, then our president should be up for impeachment by Monday if we do not get congressional approval and support from Congress. Okay, but I remember, the Bush days, and I remember all the liberals that just hated him and were behind and totally against the war movement. And then here we have a replacement. We have Obama, who runs on hope and change. This great change coming to America. We have figures such as Oprah Winfrey, support him. Really, probably, to a large extent, help to get him elected. Help to convince the masses, the cows, to vote this man in, and he runs on peace and prosperity. And what do we get? What do we get when he comes to office? What we get when he comes to office is war. World War III, guys. We're in Iraq. We're in Afghanistan. He's failed to withdraw our troops from both countries. Libya. We have 30,000 ground troops allegedly going to storm Libya here as early as July. And I've heard other reports September and October range. Okay, we have escalating drone strikes in Yemen, Pakistan. Syria's likely next. If you read some of these reports, you'll see that we've got naval ships and a lot of the military positioning in some of these ancillary locations in the Middle East and Northern Africa. And this is happening, guys, It's happening in real time. And the reason for it is there is no end game to all these bailouts. There is no end game to all this stimulus. There's no end game. The cold, hard truth, the cold, hard reality is that we are in a depression far greater and far worse than what we experienced in the 1930s. And it's such a shame, guys. It's such a shame. It really tears me up inside. Because it's not that I want to focus on the negatives here, but I want to focus on reality, and I want to open your eyes to what's really happening. What's really happening in real time, and that is we have huge challenges ahead of us.